Ladies and gentlemen, the Democrats are absolutely salivating over the fact that Donald Trump is having a hard time coming up with a nearly $500 million bond to pay this fine in his fraud case in New York while the case goes to the Court of Appeals. Now, I don't care how rich you are. I doubt there are a lot of people, billionaire or not, that have a $500 million in liquid cash just lying around. These billionaires, these millionaires, they do a lot more with their cash than just leave it in the bank. They don't just have a bank account with a massive number in it. I mean, relatively to their net worth, at least. But Donald Trump at this point hasn't been able to find any company that is willing to put up this massive amount of money. And I think this is what they were kind of going for. I think this is the reason why the fine was so large, because I think Judge Engoron, Letitia James, the New York justice system, they knew that this would happen, that Donald Trump, he was not going to be able to come up with this bond. I think eventually he's going to come up with something, whether it be putting up his buildings as collateral, and I think that's part of their plan as well, because his buildings are worth a lot more than $500 million. But the problem there is the fact that Letitia James, Judge Engoron, ruled that his buildings are worth a lot less than he said that they were worth. So what are they going to say? They're going to say the Trump Tower is worth only, $100 million? When it's worth several $100 million. They're going to say that Mar-a-Lago is only worth $20 million when it's worth several $100 million. So if he puts up his buildings as collateral, how many of his buildings is he going to have to put up as collateral in order to secure this bond or something like a bond in order for this to go to the Court of Appeals? And I think that's the scary part of this fraud ruling, is because Donald Trump is their political enemy and they are pulling out all the stops, trying to do anything they can to drive him in the ground. And this is something that Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary, is saying too. And he got in this tiff on CNN. And listen to this, guys, because Mr. Wonderful is absolutely seething over what's going on against Donald Trump. I don't know if Mr. O'Leary is a supporter of Trump or not. I think Mr. O'Leary is a businessman, and he's seen what is happening to Trump, and it's very concerning. And time again in this interview, towards the end here, you'll see where he talks about this is not America. This should not happen in America. And he keeps repeating it over and over and over. He gets really worked up. But guys, listen to this. This is Mr. O'Leary, Kevin O'Leary, on CNN, talking about Trump's inability to post a bond in this case.
We are prepared to make sure that the judgment is paid to New Yorkers. And yes, I look at 40 Wall Street each and every day. If he does not have funds to pay off the judgment, then we will seek, judgment enforcement mechanisms in court, and we will ask the judge to seize his assets.
Now, you take, an issue with this, of course, more broadly in terms of what it means to be in an American business structure, Kevin. But in terms of the valuation, can you be clear as to why? I mean, why would the properties not be sufficient collateral?
What a great message to send out all around the world. Take a claim where there was no monies lost. There was no fraud here in the context of actually people losing money. Deutsche Bank, who made the loan, was made whole. And let's make a penalty of $500 million against a crime, apparently, where no monies were lost. Great message for New York. Great message for America. Bring your capital because we'll protect your property. I think that was a statement that would be much better made sometime in Venezuela. I'm not kidding. That's a scary, scary message. And by the way, there are no such thing as $500 million bonds. There are no $500 million bonds. Never been done before. Never. This law has never been applied. Forget about Trump. Nothing to do with Trump. Everything to do about America and the New York brand. I love this state. My children live here. A horrible message to everybody around the world watching this. Absolutely horrific.
Well, wait, Kevin, but hold on a second. Kevin,
Trump
what would be
gone one day.
This
attorney general will be gone one day. And this is what you want to tell people around the world. I have a wonderful voice, and it won't be talked over. Kevin O'Leary, I would like to hear what you have to say, but America.
What are you doing?
Not America.
But it's not America, but it is the Lara Coates live show, and I am speaking. So that will be the rule, not Venezuela, nowhere else. Fine, but it's Lara Coates Live. And hello, my name is Lara Coates.
Hello, my name is Lara Coates. This is Lara Coates Live. I have a wonderful voice, and I am speaking right now. I'm a big, powerful woman, and I'm speaking to you right now, Kevin O'Leary. Well, Kevin O'Leary is visibly upset about what is going on right here. He says there's no such thing as a $500 million bond. And now Trump might have to put up his assets, his buildings as collateral. And Kevin O'Leary, you can tell here he is just absolutely blown away by this. He can't believe that this is happening in America. And he's saying this is something that would happen in Venezuela or something. And these women, they're just sitting there on this panel. Lara Coates, it's her show. And she's just sitting there with a smirk on her face. And she doesn't respond to any of these things that these actual concerns that Kevin O'Leary has. She just, gets mad that Kevin O'Leary is talking like this. And she said, wait a second. Let me talk. It's time for the woman in the room to talk. And guys, it's just absolutely disgusting. Like these journalists, they're not even journalists. These anchors or whatever they have that have their show, they're just there to perpetuate some sort of a message to try to spill on to the American people that this is somehow normal, what is going on. And Kevin O'Leary says this has nothing to do with Trump. I don't know if Kevin O'Leary is a Trump supporter. I mean, I would imagine he is, seeing what the Biden DOJ is doing to Trump, who is a businessman like himself. I would imagine Kevin O'Leary would vote for Trump, but he hasn't, as far as I know, come out and endorsed Trump. I think you could see this as somewhat of an endorsement because of what's going on the other side, but you never know. He doesn't make this about Trump per se. He makes this about the fact that this is America and he's a businessman in America, so he has actual concerns over the craziness that is happening in our justice system when a businessman like Donald Trump could be slapped with a $500 million fine for something that is not illegal, for something where there is no fraud, where the banks connected to the situation were completely paid back. And now Donald Trump, he wants to bring it to appeals because it's a crazy verdict. Now he can't find a bond. He might have to use his properties as collateral. But guys, this is a Fox News article, and it says legal experts weigh in on Trump's options after failure to get $464 million bond. But it says legal experts are weighing in on Donald Trump's options after attorneys for the former president said he has not been able to secure a $464 million appeal bond he needs following a New York civil fraud judgment against him. Trump's lawyers wrote in a Monday court filing that obtaining the nearly $500 million appeal was a practical impossibility under the circumstances presented. David Gelman, a criminal defense attorney and a former deputy district attorney, called the judgment a unicorn. He argued that the judge should give Trump a lot more leeway to satisfy the bond because not even the richest man in the world has $464 million lying around. This is what I'm saying. These rich people, they put their money to a lot more use than just keeping it lying around in a bank account or, in some sort of coffee can in the backyard. Their money is tied up in assets. That's where their money is. They don't just keep $500 million in liquid cash, even if you are rich, even if you have a net worth of billions and billions of dollars. So these Democrats and these leftists that are laughing at Trump for not being able to post his bond. I mean, I don't really understand how billionaires operate either, but I know that they don't just keep billions of dollars lying around. When someone's a billionaire, that doesn't mean they just have all this cash lying around or they have a bank account with $1 billion in it. It is more referring to their net worth, which is typically tied up in an asset of some kind. But a New York appeals court judge denied Trump's request late last month to delay payment of the $464 million owed as a result of the lawsuit brought by New York State corrupt Attorney General Letitia James, but said he would temporarily allow the 2024 frontrunner and his sons to continue running their business during the appeals process. Wow, how nice of the judge to allow them to do this. What a very sympathetic, empathetic judge. Wow, it's just so incredible, isn't it? A New York appeals court judge previously ruled that the former president must post a bond for the full amount of the judgment and that an independent director of compliance will be appointed. That ruling comes after New York Judge Arthur Engeron handed down his decision earlier in February after a months-long trial beginning in October in which the former president was accused of inflating his assets and committing fraud in financial documents. Engeron ruled that Trump and other defendants were liable for persistent and repeated fraud, falsifying business records, issuing false financial statements, conspiracy to falsify false financial statements, insurance fraud, and conspiracy to commit insurance fraud. Gelman told Fox News Digital that everyone needs to realize how unprecedented this is. Quote, there has never been a judgment of this magnitude against a company or individual in the history of New York. So we are really in uncharted territory. Yeah, this is Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, he gets the big boys. He's the political, not the political opponent. He's the political enemy of the left. So they're looking at this as if it's a war. So they're not going to treat him fairly, not even close. They're not going to even treat him as an opponent. They're not going to just, mudsling at him. They're going to go after his livelihood, and that's what they're doing right here. But Gelman said Trump has three options. Number one, not appeal. Ask the court to allow Attorney General James to use his property as collateral. This is the question I have about this collateral property thing is they undervalued his property, or they had a number on some of his properties that's way, way, way low. I mean, just by anyone's standards. I mean, Mar-a-Lago, they valued it at what, $18-20 million? I'm sure there are millions of people lining up to buy that property for that low of a price tag. So what would happen if if he puts up his property as collateral? Would he have to put up all his property as collateral to satisfy this bond? What would happen? Because their valuation and his valuation, there's a massive chasm there where they don't agree. It's a big, big difference. Or take it to a federal court and say the New York law is unconstitutional on its face. Quote, courts really don't deny bonds when there are other ways to pay. Again, because this is so unprecedented, I don't care how rich you are, nobody has that much liquid cash. So if a court had the option to allow a defendant to use some other collateral to satisfy the bond, they will, Gelman said. He added that there was no reason for the judge or Attorney General James to say no. Quote, you're dealing with Trump. He's not going anywhere. He's the most famous and well-known person in the world. It's not like he can just disappear and can't be found, Gelman said. Former federal prosecutor Andrew Sarkasky told Fox News that he would not count Trump out yet. Sarkasky said that even if the court denies Trump's appeal, he still has paths to move forward through federal court, ultimately to the Supreme Court to complain about Eighth Amendment violations. Per the Eighth Amendment, which deals with cruel and unusual punishment, excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. And I think most people can agree that this is excessive, this fine. It should not even be there. But Sarkasky argued that the fines imposed on Trump were so, quote, astronomically high here that it seems unbelievable for the Constitution to permit it under these circumstances. I think and I hope that the New York Court of Appeals looks at it appropriately, Sarkasky said. But like I said, I think even the Supreme Court would have an interest in this case on Eighth Amendment grounds. Trump attorney Alina Habba told X22 Report Monday she was confident Trump's debt would be dismissed. Quote, despite the fact that witnesses frankly had said that they were great clients, we all made money, they did nothing wrong, we got slammed with this egregious number, and I'm confident we'll overturn it, Habba told the online podcast. Yeah, Deutsche Bank testified that Trump was a great client. He paid them back in full. And I'm sure that payment in full came with interest. So they made a lot of money off of Donald Trump. But despite this fact, he's still being slapped with this nearly $500 million fine. And anyone with eyes can see why this fine is so large. Anyone can see what they're trying to do. They're trying to ruin Donald Trump because he is a front runner for the GOP. And he's about to have a lot of power if and when he becomes elected as the president of the United States. Let's go. I can't wait for this to happen. I can't wait for Donald Trump to be elected and their smug look gets wiped off their faces. But what do you guys think about this? What do you think about the fact that Donald Trump can't come up with this bond, at least right now? I mean, he's having a hard time because this is unprecedented. It's huge. It's a huge bond. $500 million. What company is going to want to put that bond up? They're probably looking at it like, oh, I don't know about this. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of liability. And what do you think about the fact that maybe he'll have to use his buildings as collateral? But Donald Trump actually posted a truth about this. He said, Judge Engoron actually wants me to put up hundreds of millions of dollars for the right to appeal his ridiculous decision. In other words, he is trying to take my appellate rights away from me when I have already won at the appellate division. But he refuses to accept their already made decision. No one has ever heard of anything like this before. I would be forced to mortgage or sell great assets, perhaps at fire sale prices, and if and when I win the appeal, they would be gone. Does that make sense? Witch hunt, election interference. I completely agree. That's a scary position for Donald Trump to be in. He's probably panicking right now. He's like, "What? Everything is against me. I can't get a just legal system to look at this. Now I had to pay this massive fine." and I can't get a bond for this. What is someone like that supposed to do? It's absolutely disgusting. But what do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments what you think about this crazy thing that's going on. Like and subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. But until then, I'll see you on the next one.